I want to welcome the GMs and the wives, the godly men and the warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women out there. This is going to be a Semen Retention Sunday episode on the Regal Change YouTube channel. And for those that are just joining, my name is Thaddeus. Welcome. And the topic for Semen Retention Sunday's episode today is on overthinking and eliminating social anxiety through semen retention. There is no doubt that we as human beings already make life a lot more complicated and complex, more so than it needs to be, almost 80 to 90% of the time. Life is actually very simple, but for human beings, sometimes the most simple things are the most difficult. And the reason being is because we're always so caught up in, especially in today's day and age, and trying to do this and trying to do that. And we got to get here to get there, and we got to do this to get that. And all of these things that we're always thinking about and we're always filled with anxiety about. And even when we're among people, I can't tell you how many times just in the course of a day, whenever I'm out and about and pretty exposed in conversation in the community. I guess I don't really like the word exposed, but more just like actually talking, because I'm not someone that likes to necessarily communicate with people. And it's not because I don't like people. I love people, but I just don't trust a lot of people. And the reason being is because in the Bible, it says that about 66%, or two-thirds of the people rather, two-thirds of the people do not have eyes to see and ears to hear. And only a third of the people do have eyes to see and ears to hear. And I am aware that even those that claim to follow Christ or to be Christian or to be a certain religious affiliation, they're not actually who they say they are. And this is one of the reasons why I don't have a lot of trust, is because what people say and what people do are completely different things, right? So sometimes they just show up to church just to show up, or they show up to just socialize. That's one of the reasons why I don't go to church anymore at all, is because I noticed that a lot of the people that went to church were just there to be there. And they were there to make friends. And sure, that's fine. But, well, what are you really trying to go to church for then? If you're actually going to church, you're going to church to worship the Most High God, not to socialize. That's just a side benefit. That's not what you're actually there for. So what exactly does this have to do with semen retention? Well, when you are holding your seed, when you are retaining your energy, when I first started semen retention, I noticed a lack of social anxiety. And I've never really been, I've never had like social anxiety. I've been nervous to talk to people sometimes, but I've never had a situation where I am not able to be around people because of my social anxiety or anything like that. However, about 3 weeks into a month into my semen retention journey, and I started semen retention in May of 2022. About 3 weeks to a month in, I began to notice a significant decrease and more comfortability in social situations, and actually a desire to want to be social. That was something I hadn't ever experienced before. And especially around the 3 to 6 month mark, that was when my social skills just became very natural. And I was able to be way more comfortable in my skin. And I wasn't caught up with overthinking anything. This is what so many people get wrong in our society, and just in life in general, is overthinking. It's the lack of simplicity that makes people's lives complicated, right? This is one of the reasons why I thrive in routine. And it's not necessarily because I do the same thing every single day at the same time. It's more like I'm doing the similar things at similar times every single day. My regimen at the gym, for example, is to go until it hurts. That's it. That's all I do. And I have a set time to go and a set time to leave. And all that time in between, I'm just going based off of feel, and I'm just going until it hurts for each set that I do, or for running, or etc. And there are going to be days when I'm not going to be as involved, etc. But there are going to be other days when I'm headstrong into it. Now, I do want to take a moment just to pause for a second and announce that the school community that we've created for Regal Change Academy is now online, and there's only about 20 members left until we get to that 100 member mark. After we get to 100 members, that's when you're going to have to start paying for enrollment. So just be mindful of that going forward. And we'd love to have you in the workshops and the courses. This is going to be an opportunity for you to engage with like-minded individuals and post your progress and engage in a community that actually values these kinds of things that we're addressing here in this kind of video. Okay, so if you want to learn more about that, I'm going to leave a link in the description box or the comment section below. Now, going back to the topic at hand. So, semen retention, when I'm at the gym, this was another thing that I began to notice was I wasn't overthinking my regimen. I wasn't overthinking how to work out or how to eat better. I was just doing those things. And especially now over the past year, my eating habits have been way better. And it's because I'm actually feeling in my body what I'm putting into my body. I'm actually feeling that I'm feeling the meat that I'm intaking, or I'm feeling the veggies. You know, for breakfast, I almost always have steak and asparagus now. That's my after workout meal, and that's my breakfast almost every single day, is a New York steak and some asparagus. And I can feel it in my body, and it doesn't take a lot for me to just digest it now. At the time, but when I first started to eat this meal, I didn't like having to eat the asparagus or the broccoli or whatever. I didn't really like veggies, never really liked veggies up until the last year. And now I can sense in my body, I can feel in my body when and how this energy is being working through me. And it's because, in major part, having to do with semen retention and understanding that as you retain your energy spiritually, because that's what you're doing with semen retention, you're also able to nourish your mind, body, and soul in a different way. And you start to just move in a direction that is more natural for you overall. And so this is just an example of not overthinking things. Like, you don't have to have a super strict diet either. You just basically have to make sure that your calorie intake is correct. You just have to make sure that you're not eating a lot of excess fats, or like this is funny. This is something funny. People ask me that I've known for a while, 5 years ago, when they first saw me start to lose the weight, because I was nearly 200 pounds at one point. When they first asked me, like, well, what did you do? How did you work it off? And I was like, I ate less cookies and more meat and veggies. Like, it was pretty simple. It was very simple. I didn't overcomplicate it. I just decreased what I knew was wrong for my body, and I increased what I knew was right. And yes, meat does take a little bit more energy to digest, but for me, meat is it's really good for my body. That's what I really begun to realize. I don't know exactly, because everybody's body is different, right? Some people operate better on more of a vegetarian lifestyle. Some people operate better on a full meat lifestyle. I definitely operated better in a 60 to 70% meat lifestyle and diet. So that's what I do now. That's how I handle my life. I keep my carbs minimum, and I keep my sugars minimum, and I up my veggies and my meat. That's pretty much it. I have some fruit every now and again. Like, I'll have a banana, or if I'm making a certain kind of protein treat, I'll I'll put that in, like, I'll have like a banana or some raspberries or some frozen fruit in there. Or if I want to make a smoothie, I'll have a bunch of spinach and then a little bit of mangoes, frozen mangoes or bananas or whatever as well. It really depends, but I'm always making sure that I'm adding more veggies than fruits. And so it just boils down to not overthinking this stuff. That's really what it is. And with semen retention, you're going to have the ability to think more clearly because you're not constantly searching for a dopamine hit. You're not constantly searching for that thing, that hit of female attention, or that hit of just trying to get into PMO again or anything like that. And then especially with your social anxiety, that's going to be eliminated because, well, whatever you're doing behind closed doors is going to be revealed in the public sphere. Okay. So if you are being true to God behind closed doors, it's going to show up in your relationships outside and outside of closed doors, right? So what exactly does this mean? Well, so I went to a business event the other night, and at this business event, which, holy moly, it was a great honor to be there, and I met a lot of great people there. And I noticed that I was not nervous at all. I was very comfortable in my own skin, like almost too comfortable for a second there. I was like, man, I'm kind of feeling myself here. I don't want to come off as like this super arrogant person, but I feel very confident right now. And I realized as soon as I thought that, I was like, oh, it's because I'm actually around people that are genuinely confident and that are actually genuinely involved, and they actually genuinely care about their own life. It's amazing how much you can pick up the energy of other people, and you don't really know about it until you have self-awareness. And these were the kinds of people that you don't get around very often. Okay, let's just leave it at that. And so this kind of event that I was at, I was able to meet people that have actually lived their lives, that I can actually look at. They actually value family legacy over family leisure. Okay, this is something that I personally value. I value family legacy over family leisure. You're not going to make it as a godlike savage, which is part of the Regal Change brand here. You're not going to make it as a godlike savage if you value family leisure over family legacy. And I'm not saying it's wrong to value family leisure over family legacy. I'm just saying that you're probably not going to be the godlike savage, okay? And me and my brand and what I'm trying to do in my life, what I'm trying to do and help people all around the world, this is exactly what I'm doing, is I'm valuing legacy over leisure, especially the family. And so I was able to look at these people's lives and think to myself, okay, yeah, that looks like an okay, great, decent life. That looks like a life I would want. Now, here's the other thing. When you eliminate social anxiety, you also eliminate pride to some degree. So your humility and your sense of humbleness will be increased. And so in doing so, this is something else I noticed the other day, was as I was looking at these people's lives at this business event, and I was like, yeah, I like that kind of lifestyle. I like that kind of life. I would want that kind of life. You got a wife, you've got a family, you've got a successful business, you've got a successful life overall. But guess what they always valued? They always valued the relationship and the family more than anything else. And these are people that they're legit. They're actually legit. And you can tell just by the cadence and the behavior of these kinds of people that they actually care more about their relationships than they do anything else. And because they do so, it reflects in everything else that they do. And so you can tell that because their social anxiety has been eliminated, they're able to live a more humble life. Something that you see with a lot of modern women nowadays, for example, and men, but I'm going to speak more so on the women for now, is they're always trying to get attention. We need attention. We need attention. Like, hot girl summer is coming up. So now you've got all of the women out here. They're getting ready for the sun, and they're getting ready to show off their bodies, et cetera, et cetera. Now that it's not winter anymore, they don't really care to have a relationship. That's what seems to happen usually, right? Then when fall and winter comes along, that's when they want to cuddle and they want to snuggle. But for now, woo! And you can already see on these people's faces, these women's faces specifically, that they're just, is he looking at me? Is he looking at me? Am I being looked at by her? They're just constantly externally looking to see who's looking at them just so that they can get some validation of feeling alive. That's all it is. And you can tell right then and there, they're not being celibate. And I'm not saying semen retention and celibacy is the same thing, but for women, it's basically, it's going to be celibacy, right? You're not playing with yourself and you're not watching porn or anything like that. So women that are actually participating in purity, they're not going to be looking to see who, is he looking at me? Is he looking at me? Is she, what does she think about me? What does she think about me? They're not going to be thinking that kind of stuff. They're going to be in their own lives, having their own stuff going on, and it is what it is. And then you can see the same thing with the men. The men that are highly insecure, that are actually participating in PMO, they're the ones drooling over the women as they walk by. I was playing basketball yesterday with some people, and there was, where we're playing basketball at in the gym, there's a huge window section of people walking by, and you have to walk through there in order to get to the weights. And almost every single woman that was walking by, you could see the guy look to the woman as she walking by, even if she's not attractive. You can just see, he's just looking for something to get him going, apparently. And that's not someone I care to be around a lot. So I left pretty shortly after that, but that's beside the point. The point is that you can tell who's actually participating in PMO and who's not, and who's actually pure and who's not, based off of people's behavior. And so I hope this message was useful and insightful. And until next time, peace be with you.